everyone, it's Katie from Paradise Falls family. In this mini-series, I'll be talking through our weekend trip to Disneyland Paris in March 2024. This wasn't a trip we'd originally intended to do, but we managed to squeeze in a weekend visit to join our family who were there for the week. Although it was only a short trip, we're fortunate enough to have visited Disneyland Paris many times before as a family, so we know it well and always have a fantastic time. In our last video, I talked through how we planned the trip, as well as different accommodation and travel options. In this video and the next, I'm going to talk through the two parks at Disneyland Paris, including what we managed to cover during our short trip. In this video, I'll be focusing on the Walt Disney Studios Park, which is undergoing a major upgrade at the moment. In the past, the Studios Park has always felt quite light, and we've always considered it more of a half-day park. However, with the addition of the Avengers Campus and more to come, it's feeling like so much more and could easily warrant a couple of days. The park is currently themed around a Hollywood movie lot, although again this is undergoing a bit of a re-theme as well as a name change in the future to Walt Disney Adventure World. At the moment, upon entering the park, you enter into the Courtyard area. This is a really nice space, but only really has a shop, stroller rental and a photo opportunity with the Mickey statue in the centre. There are also characters here periodically as well, usually Goofy, Donald, Daisy, etc, so make sure to keep your eyes open for them as well. You then enter the movie lot building to walk through to the rest of the park. This is the equivalent of Main Street in the main park. Again, this compromises of shops and dining options, so it's a good spot to return to for lunch, a shopping break, or even just to get out of the rain if necessary, as it's all indoors. Upon leaving the building, you're now in the main park. Straight in front of you, you'll see a giant Mickey Sorcerer's hat, which is home to the Animation Academy, where you can learn to draw your favourite characters. There's also a character meet with Olaf, as well as the Frozen show, a musical invitation. Slightly to the left of here are some Hollywood-themed facades and buildings, and behind these the Hollywood Tower of Terror, one of our favourite rides and a headline attraction. This isn't our favourite version of the ride, as it's a little bit creepier with the theming beforehand and whilst on the ride, but the drops still give you all the thrills. Queues here can get really long, so make sure to go early. Staying at a Disney hotel gets you an extra 30 minutes early access each morning, so make use of this and get on one of the headline rides such as this one. Alternatively, if you're short on time like us, then you can pay extra for a Premier Access Pass, which you can purchase through the Disneyland Paris app. There are various different ones on offer, where you pay for different packages of queue jump access, or you can pay for an individual ride as we did here to get us to the front without having to queue. These Premier Access Passes use demand pricing, so it does vary, but for us it cost €28 for two people mid-morning on a Saturday. If we look at the left-hand side of the park first, past the Tower of Terror, you're in the production courtyard. There are two big theatres here. The first is split in two between Stitch Live, where you can interact with Stitch on screen, and the Disney Junior Dream Factory, another live show for younger kids that we enjoyed many times when the kids were smaller. Then in the other theatre currently is Together, a Pixar musical adventure show. This was one of the top things we wanted to do for this trip, but unfortunately after 30 minutes of queuing, the show was cancelled due to technical difficulties. Very frustrating, but we've heard great things, so make sure to check this out. At the far corner of the courtyard is then the newest area of the park, the Avengers Campus, and our favourite part of the park at present. This was our first stop for both of our mornings here. In our opinion, the best ride here is Spider-Man Web Adventure. We'd ridden this before in California and loved it, so made sure it was our first stop both mornings. Using our early entry, we managed to get on twice in a row both mornings and had a great time. The ride is basically a fun 3D game where you shoot webs using your hands at spider bots for points. Think Toy Story Midway Mania, but higher tech and Spider-Man themed. It's great fun for the whole family, so this should be a priority if you think this is something you would enjoy. Again, queues do build up here, so get here early. The other ride in this area is Avengers Assemble Flight Force. This used to be the Aerosmith rock and roller coaster, but has been rethemed, so it is quite an intense roller coaster. Eva and I tried it and loved it, but it does rattle you around a bit, so once was enough. It had great theming though. As well as the two rides, you've got the Hero Training Centre, loads of opportunities to meet your favourite Avengers and Marvel characters, and keep an eye out for Spider-Man on the roof of the Web building. Opposite the ride is PYM Kitchen and Stark Factory. Stark Factory is a quick service dining option. We didn't have time to try it, but it looked really good. PYM Kitchen is a sit-down dining option, and we did try this, and it was absolutely brilliant. In past visits here, we've not been particularly fond of the dining options at Disneyland Paris. Allergy options have been poor, and quality and service was iffy at best. This was completely blown out of the water at PYM Kitchen, which we thought was one of the best Disney buffets we've ever experienced, even including Disney World and Disneyland California. The restaurant is Ant-Man themed, with everything shrunk down or blown up, including the giant pretzel each table is given to share at the start of every meal. The buffet is fixed price, coming in at €140 for the four of us, so it wasn't cheap. For this you get a soft drink and access to the buffet, which was absolutely brilliant. The choice was fantastic, and we particularly enjoyed the cheeses, cold meats and smoked salmon to start. There was a fantastic selection across the board, great for allergies, great choices for kids including fries and mini burgers. There were loads of choices for dessert too, and we all left here absolutely stuffed. With the kids being picky, me being vegetarian and Greg having to eat gluten-free, it's tough to find somewhere we all like, but this really fit the bill and we'd highly recommend it. The only thing we'd say is book ahead, as it can be tricky to get reservations, so make sure you're on the ball with this. You can book reservations using the Disneyland Paris app. So having covered one side of the park, let's move to the other side. Turning right as you enter the main park, past the big Mickey Sorcerer's hat, on the right hand side is another theatre. This one is home to Mickey and the Magician. We didn't have time to take this in on this trip, instead attempting to go for the Pixar show, but we've seen Mickey and the Magician before and really loved it. It's actually one of the best Disney shows we've seen in any of the parks, so we'd highly recommend this one. Next along is the Flying Carpets over Agrabah. It feels a little bit out of place here, on its own, right by the Pixar area of the park. But now it's boarded off, as is a lot of this area, while they reimagine this section of the park. From this point on, it's all Pixar. On your right, the big warehouse is home to Crusher's Coaster, a fun indoor roller coaster. It does always have really long queues though, and there's no fast pass option available for this one. As a result, we didn't ride it this trip and often don't manage to get it done. So it's one to prioritise early if you really want to do it. On your left hand side is a mini Cars themed area. Basically it's just one ride, Cars Quattro Roo Rally, but also a fun little set next door for photo opportunities. Although this is a small kids ride, we always make sure to go on as it's so much fun being whipped around. It's basically the same ride as in Disneyland California and really similar to alien swirling saucers in Disney World. There are rarely big queues, so it's definitely one to stop at to give all of the family a good laugh. Opposite here is a little character meet area where you can often see characters from Toy Story, and then just past here it turns into Toy Story Land, or alternatively you can turn right at this point and enter the Ratatouille themed area, which I'll come on to in a moment. The entrance to Toy Story Land is marked by a giant Buzz Lightyear statue, a brilliant photo op, and thereafter you're in Toy Story World, shrunk down to the size of a toy, much like the similar land in Hollywood Studios in Orlando. The theme in here is brilliant, with photo ops all over the place, and it's a wonderful place to spend some time. You've got 3 rides here. The first, Slinky Dog Zigzag Spin, is one we always do, and while it looks pretty dull in that you just go round and round in a circle, it's actually a lot of fun, and again doesn't have very long queues usually. You've then got Toy Story Parachute Drop, a good one if Tower of Terror is a bit too much for you, although the queues here can get a little longer than you'd expect, as it's quite slow to load and doesn't fit many people on at a time. The final ride here is RC Racer, which we've never done as it looks like a more intense pirate ship type ride. It might be fun, but it's just not for us as we're pretty certain we wouldn't be able to keep our lunch down after riding it. If you carry on out the other side of Toy Story Land, follow the path and you'll find Cars Road Trip. For anyone who remembers the old Backlot Tour ride, this has been repurposed and rethemed into a tour around Radiator Springs, still with the Catastrophe Canyon, which is the main thing on this ride. Because it has such high capacity, there aren't often big queues here, so it's another good one to try. To finish off this park, you've got the Ratatouille area, sitting next to Toy Story Land. Again, the theme in here is wonderful, just like the streets of Paris, and it's just the one ride here, Ratatouille The Adventure. This is one of the best and most popular rides in the park, pretty much a must-do if you're here. Having said that, we didn't manage to fit it in this time with only a day and a half, but we've ridden it many times and all love it. It's pretty much identical to the version in Disney World, and you're shrunk down to the size of a rat as you whiz through the kitchen in a trackless vehicle with 3D screens and effects all around you. It's really loads of fun for the whole family, and it's set in a beautiful area of the park, themed around Paris itself, right at home in Disneyland Paris. Next door is Chez Remy, somewhere we've never tried before, but we've heard does brilliant food, so take a look if you have the time. Finally, there's a really good gift shop here if you want to pick up some bits and pieces. So that's our overview of the Walt Disney Studios Park. As I've said, it's quickly emerging into one of our favourite Disney parks, and the expansions to come will only solidify this, with the new Frozen Land in particular sounding amazing. At present, there isn't a nighttime offering here, so the park does close earlier than the other park, but I'm sure that'll change once the expansion is complete. I'd say right now, with all of the shows and character meets etc., to do everything comfortably, you could spend 2 full days here now. We managed to fit in our favourite rides in around a day, spending 2/3 of our Saturday and first thing Sunday morning here, but there was still so much more left to do. Next week, I'll move on to the main Disneyland Park to give you an idea of what you can find here, so make sure to subscribe to the channel to catch this and everything that follows. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or any other tips, please just let us know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching.